Welcome back, my fellow mobile gamers of YouTube. My name is NimbleThor, and in today's episode, we're gonna be checking out a truly old-school 3D MMORPG that for once isn't pay to win, so of course I'm really excited about sharing that one with you guys. We're also gonna be playing a new indie fighting game in the veins of Crash Arena Turbo Stars and a futuristic dungeon crawler taking place in a radioactive ocean full of sea creatures. There is lots of good stuff to get to in this video, so be sure to leave a like if you enjoy it, and let's kick things off with the first game, Taravana. And this is a roguelike survival game that plays like a fantasy dungeon crawler, except it takes place deep down in a dark radioactive ocean full of otherworldly beasts and creatures. As we start exploring the underwater areas surrounding our base, one tile at a time, we encounter random events and creatures that we need to kill using our ranged and melee weapons, all while making sure we don't run out of oxygen or succumb to radioactivity. Once one area has been cleared, we can move on to the next one to encounter a new event or a new creature. But unlike most roguelites though, we also need to survive our way back to the base to keep the loot we've gathered, which adds a nice extra challenge to this game. At our base, we then use the resources we've gathered to craft items, equip loot, and spend in-game currency on upgrading our stats to grow stronger. Unfortunately though, the gameplay is just dreadfully slow. Not only do we need to wait a few seconds when moving between areas of the map, but repairing gear, buying equipment, and speeding up progress also quickly burns through the very scarce in-game currency. So Taravana is the type of game that just starts off great, but then quickly grinds to a halt unless we spend a bit of money on it. It monetizes through in-app purchases for a premium currency used to buy new weapons and scuba diving suits, incentivized ads for some minor rewards, and then a $20 monthly subscription to remove the wait times and the grind. It requires online access, takes up 480 MB of space, and if it wasn't for the incredibly expensive and somewhat aggressive monetization system, Taravana would actually be a great and very unique roguelite dungeon crawler. Now, I still decided to include it here today because it can be enjoyed as a free player, but you just have to be prepared to grind a lot. But the absolute best game I played this week is without a doubt Warhammer Odyssey, which is an old-school free-to-play quest-driven fantasy MMORPG with a fair monetization system and, get this, no auto systems whatsoever. And I know that's something many of you guys have been looking forward to, so I was really excited about finding this game and now being able to share it in this video. Now, the game features 6 different character classes and 12 specializations that for once are not gender bound, which I'm really happy about. And after character creation, we're just thrown straight into the open world to complete quests and kill creatures. And as we then level up, we unlock both skill points and stat points that can freely be distributed to customize our character. The combat system in Warhammer Odyssey is slow-paced, and it's also tap-targeted, and every hit and every ability actually also takes some time to land. So if you're looking for a fast-paced MMORPG, this is certainly not it, but if you're like me, you might actually appreciate this old-school combat experience that feels inspired by games like Adventure Quest 3D or even my beloved old-school RuneScape. The game is definitely primarily PvE focused, but we can duel other players to enter a PvP state, and we can of course also create parties for grinding with friends or even exchange items directly with other players, which is actually a feature that is very rarely seen in mobile MMORPGs, but is obvious in PC MMORPGs. You gotta be able to exchange with other players, but in mobile games, the developers typically like to keep the economies closed down because then they can sell you lots of in-app purchases, but that is not the case in this game. In fact, the biggest downside is that the game ran my phone rather hot after about 30 to 40 minutes of playing, but the game is still in early access, so I'm gonna give it a pass on that front because I'm pretty sure that will be optimized and fixed over time. Warhammer Odyssey monetizes through in-app purchases for extra inventory slots, for potions that increase our XP gain for a short period of time, and then a few other minor convenience items. It's a very free-to-play friendly monetization system that only seems rivaled by old-school RuneScape on mobile. The game requires online access, takes up 1.35 GB of space, and it's definitely a must-play if you're into these old-school MMORPGs on mobile. If that's not your cup of tea though, you may find the gameplay rather slow and you're probably not gonna enjoy this game. I also played a game called Machinal Instinct this week, and this is a fun one. This is a wacky and fast-paced 3D fighting game by the Once Upon a Tower and Mars developers Pomelo Games. Now, the game has us build a mech for our pick character, and yes, you heard that right, our pick character, because why not, I guess, using 6 different types of mech parts, and each of these parts can be upgraded by acquiring more of the same part. And since there are lots of ways we can combine these parts, there are so many different strategies for creating the most powerful mech, which I suppose is part of what makes this game enjoyable. So once we have our mech set up, we then head into 1 versus 1 real-time PvP matches to battle it out against other players. And during combat, we swipe to rush forward, we dodge incoming attacks, land punches with our mech arms, or even fire long-ranged missiles. If we win the match, we're then rewarded with a loot box full of mech parts that typically takes 3 hours or 8 hours to unlock. While fighting and experimenting with the different mech setups is fun, progress in the game is very slow, and the game is also a bit rough around the edges still, and could definitely use some extra polish. The game is also not very known right now, and this current lack of players creates an experience where we often just matched against opponents that are either way too strong for us, or I guess we're not playing real players, but just playing AIs controlling other players' mechs instead. So I feel like it's a promising game, but it needs a bit more players and also maybe just a bit more of development time to truly shine. Machinal Instinct monetizes through in-app purchases that we use to just instantly open up loot boxes so we don't have to wait, or just acquire new loot boxes without having to win them. And yes, this does create a pay-to-progress fast advantage for paying players, although everything can also just be grinded through normal gameplay if you just wait long enough. The game, of course, requires you to be online. This is a multiplayer game after all. It takes up 322 megabytes of space, and I think it's worth considering checking out for its unique gameplay, as long as you can live with the lack of polish. That was all for now, so I hope you'll leave a like on your way out and hit that notification bell if you enjoyed this video and you want way more of them straight into your YouTube inbox or subscription page, or wherever YouTube puts videos these days. But you can do all that jazz if you want more content, or you can even go the extra mile and leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought about these games, or what sort of games you enjoy playing right now. Either way, I just hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your week, and until next time, just keep gaming, stay awesome, and I'll see you guys around. Now the game... Our pick character curve, because the cursor was a... Wow. Grow stronger, and we can head in, and defeat, hopefully... Yes. It's a very free-to-play... It's a very free-to-play... free-to-play... Okay. That, for once, isn't pay to win, so... Ooh, I ran out of breath.